Sixth, lolle, restlessness, greed and desire. Lolle means restlessness, greed or desire. Restlessness is of two types. 1. The restlessness of the mind, and 2. The restlessness of the intelligence. The mind, chitta, has the propensity to follow the dictates of the senses. The mind's absorption in a sense object gives birth to attachment called rag or aversion called dvesha to that object. Restlessness of the mind is of two types. 1. Restlessness that is dependent on attachment called rag, and 2. Restlessness that is dependent on aversion called dvesha. Bhagavad Gita 2.67 mentions Indriyanam hi charatam yan mano anuvidyayet tad asya harati pragyanam vayur navam evam bhasi. In the same way that wind sweeps away a boat on the water, when the mind focuses on any one of the senses that roam after sense objects, it can carry away the intelligence of an unfit person. Quelling the mind's restlessness through bhakti. It is then mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 3.34 Indriyani indriyasya arthe rag dvesho vyavasito tayor na vasham agachet tau hi asya paripantino. Attachment called rag and aversion dvesha are latent within each and every sense object. A sadhaka should not come under the control of either, as both are great enemies that create obstacles on the path of auspiciousness. To control greed in the form of restless mind, one should take shelter of Mahadevi, Shri Hari Bhakti, the goddess of service to Shri Hari. Sense objects are the cause of the mind's restlessness, and this restlessness is the principal obstruction to the practice of bhakti. Therefore, having related all sense objects to Bhagwan, the sadhaka should transpose his attachment from sense objects to Bhagwan. In this way, the mind accepts the shelter of attachment to Bhagwan and becomes steadfast in Bhagavad Bhakti. The eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin are known as the five knowledge-acquiring senses, Gyanindriya, and the speech, hands, legs, anus and genitals are known as the five working senses, Karmindriya. The mind becomes steadfast in Bhagavad Bhakti when all 10 senses are graced with a devotional mood to Bhagwan. Form, taste, smell, touch and sound are the objects of the senses. One must have aversion for those objects that are unfavorable for Bhagavad Bhakti, and attachment to those that are favorable. But the point here is this: how can the restlessness of the mind be eradicated as long as the restlessness of the intelligence has not been eliminated? It is thus necessary to first eliminate the restlessness of the intelligence. Once the intelligence is steadied and purified, it will control attachment and aversion on its own. Intelligence, buddhi. Intelligence is that tendency of mind that discriminates between what is spiritual, sat, and what is material, asat. It is of two types, resolute, vyavasatmika, and irresolute, or many-branched, bahushakha. Resolute intelligence is single-pointed or fixed, whereas irresolute intelligence is always divided and is of many types. In Bhagavad Gita 2.41, this is explained as follows: Vyavasatmika buddhir ekaha kuru nandana bahushaka hi anantascha buddhayo avyasayenam. O son of Kuru dynasty, the resolute intelligence of those who are on this path of bhakti is one-pointed, but the intelligence of those who are averse to bhakti branches endlessly. A person who is full of desires and who has irresolute intelligence craves many types of sense enjoyment. He becomes so absorbed in thoughts of worldly and heavenly sense gratification that he rejects the very existence of the spiritual world. Bhagavad Gita 2.44 therefore states, Bhog Aishwarya Prasaktanam Taya Aparat Chetasam Vyavasatmika Buddhi Samadhau Na Vidhayet. Those who are attached to enjoyment and opulence and whose minds have been captured by the flowery words of the Vedas do not attain the resolute intelligence for exclusive absorption in Shri Bhagwan. Their intelligence is neither fixed in knowledge of the self, Atma Tattva, nor is it regulated. Such intelligence is unfit for Samadhi. Only those whose intelligence becomes fixed on Paramatma are known as Sthit Pragya, means of fixed intelligence, and Sthiti Dhi, means of steady mind. The characteristics of a person who possesses fixed intelligence and steadiness of mind. Bhagavad Gita 2.55 and 56 describes the characteristics of one whose intelligence is fixed, Sthit Pragya, and whose mind is steady, Sthiti Dhihi, as follows. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmani evatmanam tushtata sthit pragya taducchayet dukheshu anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigat spriha vit rag bhay krodha sthit dhir munir uchchet. O Arjun, a person is said to be sthit pragya when he properly renounces all desires that are situated in the mind and finds satisfaction in the self alone. A person whose mind is not bewildered by anxiety upon experiencing distress, who is entirely indifferent to happiness, and whose attachment, fear, and anger have been destroyed, is called a sage of steady mind, Sthit Dhihi. The first verse of Shri Updeshamrit has given the instruction to conquer 6 urges. We find these 6 urges echoed in the 2 verses of Bhagavad Gita mentioned above. Now, it is important to know that there are 2 types of intelligence: material, Prakrit, and spiritual, Aprakrit. The propensity to rely on the mind to discriminate between what is proper and what is improper is called material intelligence, Prakrit Buddhi, and the propensity to rely on the soul to discriminate between what is proper and what is improper is known as spiritual intelligence, Aprakrit Buddhi. Some consider these 2 types of intelligence to be the same, but such an understanding is erroneous. Indrani parani ahu, indrani bhaye param manaha, manasastu para buddhi, buddhirya paratastu saha. Bhagavad Gita 3.42. The senses are superior to the body, which is an inert object. The mind is superior to the senses, because it is only by the inspiration of the mind that the senses engage in action. The intelligence is superior to the mind. The intelligence is the function of the self and is therefore the controller or master of the mind. When subjugated by material false ego, this intelligence becomes perverted and material. When the intelligence is controlled by the living entity's pure, true ego of being a servant of Krishna, it remains pure, since that is the natural form. Therefore, it is mentioned in the Shruti that a self-realized person is known as intelligent, Bodha. The pure intelligence is merely a function of the soul, who is a minute particle of spirit. Thus, the soul is superior to the intelligence. The might of the transcendental ego and spiritual intelligence. When a living entity understands himself to be a pure particle of spiritual existence, then the spiritual ego, I am Krishna's servant, naturally arises within him. At that time, the intelligence, having been established in its pure form, due to the living entities being situated in its original nature, Sarupa, scorns material objects and honors spiritual objects. He then desires nothing other than service to Krishna. he rejects material lust, considering it extremely useless. It is in this stage that the living entity is known as Sthit Pragya and Sthit Dihi. With the help of spiritual strength, the intelligence stabilizes itself and, after regulating the heart and mind, subjugates them. The mind then regulates the senses and brings them under its control, being commanded by the intelligence. The consciousness thus perceives the object of the senses as being favorable for Krishna service. On the path of bhakti, this is known as Indriya Nigraha, or restraining the senses. The means to restrain the senses. The paths of dry knowledge and dry renunciation cannot fully control the senses. Bhagavad Gita 2.59 states, Vishya vinivartante niharasya dehina rasa varjam raso apiyasya param drishtva nivartate. He who identifies himself with his body may restrict his enjoyment by withdrawing the senses from their object, but his taste for sense pleasure remains. A person whose intelligence is fixed, however, has realized Paramatma. Therefore, his taste for sense objects automatically ceases. Those who refrain from accepting objects through the senses only give up the objects themselves, but they are not free from the desire for them. But higher than the pleasure of enjoying sense objects is the transcendental pleasure of being the servant of Krishna. Such service completely eradicates the contemptible pleasure of trying to enjoy sense objects. This is actual Indriya Nigraha, or bringing the senses under the control of the mind and regulating the mind by bringing it under the control of the intelligence. Through this method, lolle, or restlessness of the intelligence and mind, is eliminated. The necessity of withdrawing the intelligence from Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and other paths headed by charity, and instead fixing it in Bhakti Yoga. The mind cannot be fixed if the intelligence is restless. Sometimes the mind runs towards the path of karma, sometimes towards the path of yoga, and sometimes towards the path of jnana. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.20.32-34 describes Bhagavad Bhakti as the only means to steady the intelligence. Yat karmabhi yat tapasa jnanam vairagyasta chayat yogena dana dharmena shayobhi iterer api sarvam mad bhakti yogena mad bhakto labhyate anjasa swarg apvargam madham kathanchit yadi vanchanti na kinchit sadvo dhirah bhakta hi ekantano mam vanchanti api maya dattam kevalyam apunar bhavam. Whether it be the heavenly planets, liberation, my abode, or anything else, everything that is attained through fruitive activities, austerities, knowledge, renunciation, yoga, charity, religious duties, and other auspicious methods is easily achieved by my devotee if he so desires by performing bhakti yoga to me. My one-pointed, loving and tolerant saintly devotees do not desire anything for themselves. Indeed, even if I desire to offer something to them, and even if I actually give them something, they do not want to accept it. By nature, their only fondness is for the happiness derived from the performing service to me. Being mindful of all these points, a sadhaka should keep restlessness, lolle, at bay and fix his intelligence in bhakti. Greed, the second meaning of lolle. The second meaning of the word lolle is greed, called lobha. If we have a greed for sense objects, but not for Krishna, then how is it possible to become fixed at his lotus feet? Our primary duty, therefore, is to try to become greedy to attain the lotus feet of Shri Krishna. Performing the limbs of yoga, such as sense control, does not purify the greed arising from attachment to enjoying sense objects to the extent that service to Krishna does. जमादिभि योग पथे काम लोभ हतमुहु मुकुंद सेव्या यद्वद तथा आत्मदौ न शमयति. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.6.35. When the sadhak practices the limbs of yoga, the mind, which is always under the control of lust and greed, attains a certain level of happiness and peace. But this does not compare with the immediate and immense pleasure attained from service to Bhagwan Shri Krishna. By serving Shri Krishna, the sadhaka's consciousness, which is constantly wounded by the blows of lust and greed, experiences a real peace that is not experienced by performing the activities of Yoga Marga, Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana and Samadhi. Through service to Krishna, the mind becomes stable without effort or delay, because the intelligence is peaceful when it is fixed in Bhagwan. Shamo man nishtita buddhi. Equanimity is fixing the intelligence in me. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.19.36. Greed for inferior objects cannot remain when a greed awakens to serve Krishna, to serve the Vaishnavas, and to chant the names of Bhagwan. When a fortunate person sees the Brajvasi's mood of service to Krishna, a greed for that service awakens in his heart. By the grace of such rare greed, one attains the qualification to perform Raganuga Bhakti. The sadhaka's inferior greed is eradicated to the degree that he develops greed for Ragatmika Seva. Bhakti is diminished by maintaining a greed for eating palatable foods, chewing bitter leaf, sleeping, smoking and drinking alcohol. Greed for wealth, women and drinking wine are diametrically opposed to bhakti. Those desirous of greed for pure bhakti should give up greed for the above mentioned activities and objects. Greed for sense objects, whether sinful or pious, is extremely detestable. Greed for Krishna is the only cause of auspiciousness. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.19 has given a beautiful description of the greed that great saintly personalities possess for topics concerning Bhagwan, Bhagavad Katha. Vayam tu na vrittiprayam uttam shloka vikrame yashanvatam rasagayam swadu swadu pade pade. O Sutta, our hunger for hearing the Leela Katha of Bhagwan, who is glorified by auspicious hymns, is never satiated. This is because, while hearing such narrations, listeners conversant with Ras experience newer and newer relish at every moment. This greed that has Krishna as its object is known as Adar, affection. A detailed description of this will be given later. Desire, the third meaning of lolle. The third meaning of lolle is desire. It is of two types: the desire for enjoyment called bhoga and the desire for liberation called moksha. Unless one completely renounces these two desires, one cannot perform bhakti sadhan. Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.22, Bhukti mukti spriha yavat pishachi hidi vartate tavad bhakti sukhastraya katham abhyudayo bhavet. As long as the two witches of the desire for material enjoyment and impersonal liberation remain within the heart of a sadhak, how can the happiness of unalloyed devotion awaken there? The desire for sense gratification. The desire for sense gratification is of two types: worldly, ahekik, and heavenly, paratrik. One's wife, children, wealth, kingdom, success, palatable foods, sleep, sexual intimacy, honor, and so on are all worldly sense objects known as ahekik bhoga. Residence in heavenly planets, the nectareous beverages available in such planets, sense gratification fit for demigods, and other heavenly delights are known as paratrik bhoga. As long as these two types of desires for enjoyment remain in the heart, a sadhak cannot selflessly perform Krishna bhajan. Therefore, desires for sense gratification should be completely uprooted and thrown from the heart. Otherwise, obstacles will appear in one's practice of bhakti. Appropriate renunciation, yukta vairagya. The matter to be considered here is that the above mentioned objects of enjoyment can be accepted by householders in a non-sinful manner only if those objects are favorable for bhakti. In that case, they cannot be called objects of enjoyment. Rather, they are sadhaka's livelihood. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.9 and 10 has mentioned, Dharmasya hi apavargasya na artho artha ayopkalpate na arthasya dharma ekantasya kamo lava hi smritaha kamasya na indriya prite labho jivata yavata jivasya tattva jigyasa nartho yasya chehi karma bhi. All occupational engagements are certainly meant for ultimate liberation. They should never be performed for material gain. Furthermore, according to sages, one who is engaged in the ultimate occupational service should never use material gain to cultivate sense gratification. Life's desires should never be directed towards sense gratification. One should desire only a healthy life or self-preservation, since a human being is meant for inquiry about the absolute truth. Nothing else should be the goal of one's work. By engaging in religious duties, dharma, as a means to attain material enjoyment, one obtains material wealth, artha. Through such wealth, one obtains sense gratification, kama and its fruit, sense pleasure in the world and heavenly planets. However, when one engages in religious duties aimed at liberation, the resultant wealth he obtains, as well as the sense gratification that he attains through such wealth, is always favorable for one inquiring about the absolute truth, tattva jigyasa. This is because the fruit of religious duties, dharma, and wealth, artha, is not sense gratification, but the satisfaction of Krishna's desires. Satisfying these desires of Krishna is known as tattva jigyasa, which is also known as yukta vairagya, appropriate renunciation. The desire for liberation. It is absolutely essential that the sadhak completely renounce the desire for liberation, moksha. The desire for liberation. It is absolutely essential that the sadhak completely renounce the desire for liberation, moksha also. Moksha is of two types. 1. Living on the same planet as Bhagwan, Salokya. 2. Possessing the same opulences as Bhagwan, Shashti. 3. Residing close to Bhagwan, Samipya. 4. Possessing the same form as Bhagwan, Sarupya. And 5th, merging into impersonal effulgence or body of Bhagwan, Sayujya. Devotees regard Sayujya Mukti as greatly contemptible. Although Salokya, Shashti, Samipya and Sarupya Muktis are free from the desire to enjoy sense objects, they are undesirable. By the strength of bhakti, the living entity obtains liberation and freedom from material inert objects. Liberation, mukti, is but a secondary result of bhakti. The primary goal of sadhan bhakti is the attainment of pure love for Krishna, Krishna Prem. At this point, one cannot conceal one's eagerness to cite the words of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Salokya adi chari jadi hai seva dwar, tabu kadachit bhakt kare angikar. Sayujya shunite bhakt rahe घृणे भय, नरक वांछे तबु सायुज्य न लय. ब्रह्म में ईश्वर सायुज्य द्वैतो प्रकार, ब्रह्म सायुज्य हईते ईश्वर सायुज्य धिक्कार. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 6.267 and 269. The essence of these statements is that by the desire of Bhagwan, devotees effortlessly attain mukti in the form of severing material relations. It is thus improper to contaminate the endeavor for bhakti with the desire for mukti. For this reason, it is primary duty of the sadhaka to be particularly careful to completely give up greed, lolle, that is averse to bhakti,